Demonic entities, aliens, and extraterrestrials. This is a re recording. I get a lot of complaints that people can't hear the audio when I use the distorted audio. So I've been going back and re recording some of the older videos and upgrading them and adding some information. So that's what this is. I hope you like it, enjoy it, and don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you're checking this out. So let's get into it. Demonic entities, aliens, and extraterrestrials. How do you separate the aliens from the ETs and the demonic entities? What are aliens? What are ETs or extraterrestrials? And what are demonic entities? The easiest way to separate the entities from the creatures is to follow my research and educate yourself. The short version is this: by breaking down the words or understanding the word phrases used, the truth can be established. Understanding how and why words are used and when specific words are used is a way to identify what is going on. So, aliens are not real. They are a fabrication and are a part of the end time deception to fully push the New World Order by enacting the Project Bluebeam or the Skybeam project, and it is a lie-in. A lie-in. Alien. It's all a lie created by the controllers to scare you into compliance. See my video on the Roswell crash to kind of understand the outer space deception and the alien deception. It all connects to the Roswell crash when they started pushing the narrative of invaders from outer space and things like that. Um, my Project Bluebeam, 5G Death Towers, mRNA, and the New World Order video covers this also in great detail. How when the government is saying that these are extraterrestrials and now they're saying they're interdimensional. But when this Project Bluebeam kicks off, they'll use the terminology of aliens because that's how you'll know it is a lie and a deception. So, ETs or extraterrestrials are beings that come from hidden lands or hidden civilizations or even colonies on the other side of our realm. Anything from the other side of our realm, on the other side of the ice wall, if that's how you want to think of it, could be considered an ET or an extraterrestrial. This may also include things from the ocean, under the ocean, or the hollow earth, if you believe the earth is hollow. Very important when understanding the terminology or phrases used by the official government types. And it's like a coding language, and when you understand all the terms they use, you can identify what type of threat or information they're trying to disclose to the people. So, demonic beings or entities, most likely these demonics are extra dimensional or they come from a different dimension or reality altogether. This brings up to the next section of research into the demonic entities, which is the fourth dimension, and I'll get into that. But it's interdimensional, extra dimensional, and this may also include beings witnessed when under the influence of psychotropic or hallucinogenic drugs. That can be considered like another reality or dimension that the drugs are enabling you to see through the veil of visual light into another dimension, and you can see these entities and interact with them and stuff like that. So, what is the connection between the demonic entities and the fourth dimension? What is the fourth dimension? So, the fourth dimension is a dimension outside of time and time's effect on matter and consciousness. Within this dimension, high vibrational beings along with low vibrational beings can exist through a low vibrational creation that is trapped in the dimension they're in. So the lower vibrational beings can only interact with the third dimension when a doorway or a portal is opened by a being of the third dimension. This could be done through the taking of drugs, ritual sacrifice, or conducted by those who work with or serve the entities from this lower fourth dimension. This realm of the fourth dimension can be described as a dream realm or even a nightmare realm, depending on the vibration of a being. And this is due to the observer and the vibrational frequency of each person individually. Each consciousness within the fourth dimension can be experiencing a prison or a paradise, depending on the impact of those who are inside this dimension. If you are aware of like the back door, is that what I'm thinking? The back doors? There's like a video or a game where you're in the back rooms. That's right. It's called the back rooms. And it's like hallways, and that is kind of like how this fourth dimension is. It's like the back rooms. If you can look that up. It's pretty interesting when you get into how these fourth dimensional beings interact with people in a reality, like within like Freddy Krueger in a dream realm, and they can interact with you and stuff. So almost every culture, along with their religions, has a version of these types of entities. Some call them demons or demonics, could be ghosts, spirits, angels, devils, reptilians, etc. Whatever they are called, we see a connection. Where they come from or where they reside from connects to the fourth dimension. Those who have a low vibration are constantly attempting to bridge the gap between the realm of the third dimension and the lower fourth dimension. The higher vibrational beings rarely interact with those from our realm, but when it does happen, acts can be acts achieved by these higher fourth dimensional beings are said to be like miracles, extremely coincidental phenomenons, and the lower fourth dimensional acts are more likely to be connected to demonic possession. This is due to the bridging of our realm and their realm. This can occur by using heavy drugs or death due to ritual sacrifice or occult rituals. This opens a doorway or a portal, which is a type of wormhole, you could see it as, or a pathway from one consciousness to another. Now, I've went over this before, but this is how these entities open a wormhole and enter another realm through opening this one of these portals or these doorways or a wormhole even. It's from it's not from outer space in another galaxy. You could think of it that way, but it's more from one consciousness to another is how these wormholes and portals are opened. Now, if you're familiar with the movie Shining, I found this while watching this, but right as the Jack Nicholson character is being possessed by these entities, a doorway or a portal is opened in the Jack Torrance's character, the Jack Nicholson character, and the entities can then interact with his consciousness. And you can see up on the wall, it's the same type of wormhole with the entities. They're showing you how these entities interact with our world. And it's most likely demonic possession because the higher fourth dimensional creatures are always trying to ascend and go up. The lower fourth dimensional creatures cannot go any higher than they are, so they interact with our world or realm because that's the only type of interaction they can get, if that makes sense. So the types of beings which call the fourth dimension home are numerous. The reptilians are the warrior class or soldiers of the satanic or demonic force. What is referred to as gray aliens are a demonic type creature that are used as the thinkers and planners of the demonic realm. And there are two types of grays, the 3 to 4 foot worker grays, which are like the drones, which are programmed psychically, you could say, by the taller 7-foot tall grays, but both are demonic and serve the lower fourth dimension. Now, most entities use the collective consciousness of the black goo to source information. These creatures or beings have no creativity, and they use this collective consciousness gathered to gather the information from all the souls that have been collected or assimilated by the satanic force or the black goo. They all hide in deep underground bases or caverns or caves or wherever they are. It's always in the lowest form of the planet where they are hide. The deeper down they go, the less interaction they have with light, and that is one of the components of this. But as well as they hide on ships or vessels throughout our realm. Now, it is rumored that some of these beings are possessed by the black goo, which has attached to their consciousness as a parasite to feed off of humanity or to feed off of their soul or consciousness. However, this can be theorized. It is a big part of this research is that there is something, a physical being will feed off of the blood and the adrenochrome or the cannibalism, but the entities feed off of the energy source. Think of it like a magnetic field. The energy that is pushing against two magnets is like the electronic field or the magnetism field. That energy is what people kind of put off in a way of thinking about it, which they feed off of the energy that is a person is generating, if that makes sense. So another aspect to the creatures of the fourth dimension is the connection to clowns and clown-like entities. While researching demonic creatures and the Anunnaki, those from heaven to earth came, this connection keeps popping up. And clowns are featured in many scary movies and scary video games. These clowns or jesters are well known in secret societies like Freemasons and Shriners. Also, when doing hallucinogenic drugs and stuff, these clown entities are also seen. The evil clowns are known for feeding off children along with stealing children, which they eat or harvest for adrenochrome or energy. The Shriners organization, which is a Masonic organization, is known for having several connections to these clowns and jesters. This is due to them being involved in sex trafficking, pedophilia, and the harvesting of children for adrenochrome. This topic has really gained momentum in the past few years due to researchers and truth seekers investigating the connections and coincidences that keep popping up and appearing. So the evidence of these demonic entities is vast and pretty conclusive. They hide their presence with a holographic cloaking device and technology, which hides their true form. This technology can be tuned with a small device like a pendant or a necklace, which adjusts the frequency of light around the entity. This technology is connected to a type of liquid crystal that is within the skin or a part of a suit that these beings wear. When moments of high stress occur, the polarity of the suit is disrupted, or the stress or emotional state causes a disruption, and this is called liquid crystal depolarization, which is shown as a green haze followed by a black and white effect. And during this depolarization or depolarizing event, the creatures of the lower fourth dimension can be documented and witnessed. The effect of the black and white blending together also has connections to native cultures who view these entities as gods. We're going to look at a clip now.
The connections between religion and secret societies and the gods that they worship is Satanism, because that's just another arm of this. You know, this might be controversial. I have been known to be, funny enough, from time to time, but this might be controversial to the believers in the religions and stuff. But you got the ancient gods, which were translated into God, which are worshipped by the religions unknowingly, most of them. Same with the secret societies. And the same gods, demonic entities as they're called in this case, that are worshipped by the Satanists, are the same gods that are worshipped by the secret societies and the religions unknowingly. In Satanism, it's knowingly. And these gods, these non human entities, operate just outside the frequency range of human sight, what is known as visible light. It's so important for people to understand that when they look through their eyes, they're not seeing everything that exists in the space they're looking at. We call space anyway. They're looking at merely a tiny frequency range that our five senses can access.
Pretty interesting. There's a lot of research you can do by yourself to look into this kind of stuff. But this liquid crystal depolarization is a well-known thing in the research community. And you can see there's always a green glow around these people, and then they'll phase out of this reality, or the creature behind them that is appearing to be human phases into our reality. And that's kind of how you see all these people doing this effect where it'll slowly start shifting. You'll see a green haze around them, and then there this black and white creature is seen phasing into our reality. Here is a clip where you're going to watch this, and as you're watching this, you can see this woman slowly starts. You can see the green all around on her shirt and around the edges of her figure, and these entities will start phasing in and out of the reality, and the background always stays perfectly focused. The background never does it. It's just around the visible light around these entities. So it just gets more and more. It's always a black and white. It's never any other colors. It's just the base version of the lowest light spectrum, which is the dark and the light, phasing through. Now, are these creatures some type of, is it like a white tiger? Is that like their skin color, or like a zebra, or even some reptiles and snakes have a black and white skin color to them? It's very interesting how you once you start seeing this, you'll see it all over the place. So you can see the edges of the hair start to get a green glow and a green haze, and that's the haze of the reptilian bleeding through into our realm. And that's how you can see these creatures and identify them as being lizard people, I guess you can say, or clown type entities, or whatever type of entities or creatures they are. It's very interesting how it keeps popping up over and over again. And the background's always perfectly focused, and then you can see them bleeding through into our realm. Pretty tough. So some will claim that this is a digital effect due to the loss of connection or a bandwidth lag. But in this next clip, it's pretty hard to explain this as a bandwidth lag or some type of loss of connection. So I want you to keep your eye on the reflection in the glass. Now, if you can see, this creature loses focus or out of tune or whatever, and the in the reflection you can see the glitching, and they all like to hide with really wild pattern shirts, and the more that's going on in the patterns of clothing they wear is easier for them to hide. But how are you going to explain the digital effect also getting wonky in the reflection of the glass? That's almost impossible, which kind of proves that something's going on, and you can see that there is an entity here posing as a human. 100% proof that distortions like these are not digital artifacts, impressions, or anything like that. It is some type of creature or an entity, or however you want to phrase it, but they are some type of creature. Okay. And you can almost see in a split second, if you really watch it and slow it down, you can almost see a weird demonic goblin creature or something behind the the effect in certain frames, but it's like multiple frames over each other. The way like a hologram works is they're bouncing light off of each other to form a three-dimensional image. And that's kind of you're seeing multiple filters on top of another, whatever the base entity is, which then shows that there is some kind of a creature back there. And it looks like some type of a clown entity behind that they're using like like a camouflage or some type of filter over it to hide their true faces, which are these evil clown like entities, or they are reptilian lizard people. So, pretty conclusive evidence when you understand how these things operate and how these creatures interact with our realm. So they everyone you see on TV is this is why all they say everyone's controlled opposition, and when you start getting a large following, you'll start seeing these type of effects. Now, were these once real people? Were they replaced? There's a theory that some people, once you get to a certain level, they'll offer you a massive estate on the other side of the ice wall where you can then move, and then they use your character or your, I don't know what the word I'm trying to find is, but they'll use your avatar. That's kind of what I'm looking for. And use it to direct whatever they need because you have been removed. And this kind of goes into the celebrities wearing masks and all that kind of theories, which I'm not going to get into, but it's very interesting when you see these people, they start glitching, they start phasing in and out of a reality, and you can see these wonky eyes and things like that. So, behind the eyes of these false humans are creatures or entities shown to be a type of reptilian. These vertical shaped pupils connect to reptilians and the controllers who use this holographic technology to hide in plain sight. Now, behind the limit of our sight, they are seen. This is aided by video technology like artificial intelligence, which can manipulate the background or the foreground or the whatever your eyes are focusing on the most. Now we see this as a pair of eyes behind the eyes of the person or image or whatever filter they are using. These creatures require adrenochrome to hold their shape and keep their appearance looking human. Other beings strictly use this technology to hide their true form and conceal their true selves or identities. When you know what to look for, you will begin to see them more often, and then will discover them hiding everywhere in plain sight. Along with the eyes, these creatures can be spotted by observing their tongues, which rotates and flicks, which is a precursor to the eyes changing. And it's also different types of entities are known to glitch in different ways. You could also look at it like that. But a lot of people on Fox News are these lizard people who phase in and out. You can see it glitching, and then you can see behind their eyes another entity is like wearing their digital reflection as like a mask or a camouflage, if that kind of makes sense. And they all have been seen doing this. A lot of people, everything on the TV, the tell live vision is programming you to just go along with whatever narratives they're pushing. But this is a major, major thing. And we can even see David Icke's been known to do this. And it's almost like they have to tell you what they're doing in order to get away with this. And that's why they will be the ones to tell you that there's these lizard people, and then they'll also criticize themselves, or other people will criticize people as being a conspiracy theorist. But the information holds true when you do this research and you look into this and the vast amount of connections there are to serial killers, serial murderers, They all have a satanic aspect to them. They all happen to be Jewish and come from strict Jewish households and Talmudic Jews and all this kind of stuff all has these connections to these lizard people or this satanic consciousness or collective consciousness of this black goo or these satanic entities. However, you want to acknowledge it, it is something you need to acknowledge and understand in order to not fall under their spell. And a lot of people have been seen with the shifty eyes and the sideways blinking and all these kind of things because they are possessed by a demonic entity. Now, possibly a demonic entity or a spirit has inhabited these people, and it's like two consciousnesses within one human body or vessel, which is doing these types of things. And it's like there is a lizard person using a human as a shielding or a way of camouflaging itself in order to feed off of the energies of those around. So here is a clip of a security footage of somebody walking. I mean, it could be AI, could be some kind of special effects, but it's being seen more and more and more, which is kind of the reason why they have to make so many fake videos. It's to cover up the real videos. So here you can see this guy goes for this backpack of this guy, and this entity comes out of off the back, and you can see this entity scares this guy away, and that's really how this works. Is it is hiding behind the whatever the person is or whatever. Let's watch this one more time. You can see the guy walking. He's got a single shadow. He's being followed by this other guy. He goes to grab his backpack, but when he grabs and touches the backpack, it's really a lizard person or a creature or a demonic entity hiding. And there's no backpack to take off this guy. That's the creature hiding and blending in with our reality. So it's very interesting. The more you kind of look into this stuff, the more you'll find, and it's an important part of this research. So another thing is the hyper realistic masks. The less adrenochrome these people have, these creatures, the more you can see how there's a demonic entity, and they just look like demonic goblin people. And they all just coincidentally happen to be Jewish. They all happen to be pro-Israel and Ukraine and more money and more war. They have to have war in order to feed off of this energy, and you could see this creepy goblin man, and behind his ear there's like a goblin ear that's pointing up these pointy ears, which that's what they're goblin demons. They're all different types of creatures and entities, but they're all trying to hide as human, and they all coincidentally are Jewish. That is another large part of this that nobody wants to talk about, but it is something you need to acknowledge.
Other frequency range is other dimensions of reality, if you like, which are sharing the same space. Now, most of the time, we're not aware of them, just like television stations are not aware of each other. But of course, in a situation where you might tune onto a radio station and it's very, very close to another station, you get interference where the two radio stations interact with each other. And that's what can happen with these realities, where there's another reality that's really, really close to us on the frequency scale. They can actually be a crossing over between the two. And in satanic ritual, one of the reasons they do it, one of them, is to create an energy environment through the way the ritual is conducted, which allows like a vibrational window or doorway to open, which allows these entities to enter the ritual. I've talked to endless people around the world who've seen this, actually experienced it. Suddenly this seriously horrible, often looking entity appears in the so-called magic circle, which is a vibrational field. That's what it is. They don't use these pentagrams and stuff just for fun. I mean, some of them might, the lower ones who don't really understand it, but the ones that are really involved, that understand the way reality works and how you can manipulate it, these pentagrams and these various symbols used in Satanism, like the reversed pentagram is the classic satanic symbol, and the circle around it. They are vibrational fields. That's why they do these rituals, and the entity can enter this reality, the range of visible light. In other words, what we can see within that vibrational field, and suddenly the gods appear.
So pretty interesting when you identify how these rituals are performed and the connection between these entities and these demonic creatures and stuff. And the more you really get into this with the Hollywood, which is all satanic and all the music is satanic and the movies are all trans and stuff, it's all controlled by the same Jewish type elites, and then they're controlled by the higher level Satanist people, and then they're controlled by the higher level lizard reptilian type people, and then they're even controlled more by this black goose substance and things like that. But it is a real thing that we are seeing and documenting, and when you understand how satanic they are, you'll then know how to counteract that, which is Jesus Christ, the name of Jesus Christ, calling on his name, using the protection of God's word to protect you from these evil Jewish satanic people that always it's the same pattern over and over again throughout our historical record and stuff of the same founding fathers, all these people being connected to Freemasonry or the Illuminati or whatever secret societies they're in, is a covert way they hide their allegiance to these entities. So, human sacrifice to open a portal or a doorway within a human being. This goes back to the portal or the wormhole that is within a human consciousness where these entities can interact or even inhabit a person.
Another way they feed off human energy is by human sacrifice. What they do in the sacrifice is they'll have the victim, and they go through this ritual, and they build up the ritual to gain maximum terror from the victim. So now there's a tremendous energy, not just of fear, but of absolute terror. And then at the point of sacrifice, that energy is released massively. And these gods that are operating just outside human sight feed off that energy, because that terror, that low vibrational energy, represents the energy field that they are vibrating to, and therefore they can absorb that energy. They can't absorb the higher dimensional energies. They have to have low vibrational energies. Look at society. It's structured to create massive fear, stress, all these things from the population, and it's feeding these quote gods.
So a lot of this is very similar to like people where they're torturing people in order to get this adrenochrome chemical. Now, when the adrenochrome chemical is within the blood and it's been manufactured in the blood, that's the perfect type of energy that these entities feed off of. So the humans will drink the adrenochrome blood and get high, and the entities will feed off of the loosh type energy. Loosh is the negative energy associated with these rituals, I guess you could say. So there is a connection to Pizzagate, Washington, D.C., all this type of stuff, and the torture and human trafficking and sex trafficking aspect to this world that we're living in during this Zionist occupied governments around NATO and stuff. And it all connects to Operation Paperclip, and it all connects to what really happened in and after World War II. You can see a lot of my previous videos all get into this, the Operation Paperclip and what really happened, the old world, the fall of the old world, National Zionism, all good videos to watch to really help understand how this big system of control works. So, native tribes and cultures wear a similar pattern of a black and white, and they also communicate with these entities with hallucinogenic drugs. This reconnects to the DMT and the beings encountered within the spirit world, which are seen in the drug induced trips. Now, you could also say that the drinking and consuming of the adrenochrome causes the veil to be thin, and you can interact with these entities in the same type of way. So, some of these native cultures participate in cannibalism and child sacrifice to please these entities which masquerade as gods. This would be the ancient Aztecs, are one of them, who worshiped the feathered bird serpent known as Quetzalcoatl, and other tribes of Native American Indians. Once again, there is a connection to Freemasons and Shriners organizations. Within the Shriners have an order of Jester and an order of Quetzalcoatl. This furthers the information that the secret societies work with and serve these demonic entities and the black goo substance. So, cannibal tribes and white skin. A lot of these cannibalistic tribes will paint their bodies completely white, and sometimes they're striped. The Hopi Indians have a black and white striped kind of uh, outfit, I guess you could say, or paint that they put on. But all these cannibalistic tribes, whether it's in Africa or South America or wherever it is, they paint their bodies white and they consume the flesh of humans and the blood and all this kind of stuff. And they wear these masks, which could connect to the gray demonic entities or the clown type entities. And you'll see this more and more. Here you can see this guy with the white stripes. And that is another key component to cannibalism and these entities. And there's also a connection to clown type entities with the white skin and the colored hair and the drinking of blood and all the evil demonic kind of stuff they do. But it's a phasing or a bleeding within our reality to their reality, where once these people are drinking the blood and eating human flesh and sacrificing people, these entities can go into human beings and masquerade as humans or inhabit the same body as humans until the drugs wear off, and then they're forced back into their realm or reality. Now, there's a big connection to giants of the old world and these Nephilim giants or Anunnaki or however you want to understand it. But they have white skin, 6 fingers, 6 toes, rumored to have 2 rows of teeth and bright red hair. White skin and red hair. Now, this could be from living in caves where they aren't exposed to sunlight, but there is a connection. And if you're aware of this Kandahar giant that was killed in Afghanistan, this giant comes out of a cave and fights with these people, but it's a giant Tartarian sized old world being with red hair, 6 fingers, 6 toes, 2 rows of teeth. And you can see this is a picture from the old world I have of this giant, one of these giants, flash frozen during this whatever this mud flood or the fall of the old world took place. So it's a common theme of these giants that are around and cannibalism. Giants, cannibals, things like that. And there's a massive connection to giants and cannibalism and white skin and red hair. White skin and red hair is a common factor in the elites. Here you can see white skin is a common theme in cannibalism and human sacrifice. These demonic entities, when consuming blood and adrenochrome, seem to have a side effect of turning the skin white. This may also connect the royalty of the elites. Like vampires have really white skin and can only come out at nighttime. Um, because they're just not exposed to the sun or the blood or the adrenochrome. Something has an effect which turns your hair orange and your skin white. So you can see this is like the queens and kings, they all have a similarity of white skin and red hair. Now imagine being a Native American in 1492. seeing this bizarre thing step off of a ship and, cut your hands off because you didn't get enough gold or whatever. But a lot of this is I don't really buy into the whole Christopher Columbus 1492 thing if you're aware of my research, but there is something connected to an invading group of people that look like these white-skinned demonic clown type creatures. And you can see this throughout Hollywood and the narratives of, Hollywood and the elites, and they all are like mad with human sacrifice, blood drinking. They're all into transgenderism and trans and pedophilia, and they all look like demonic clown type entities. And there is a connection that is seen and documented throughout our historical record of these types of entities, beings, and creatures. And there's something with clowns that keeps popping up, whether it's McDonald's and the conspiracy theory of that's how they get rid of the human meat, and that's how it started, was to get rid of the human meat. Ronald McDonald is a clown with the red around his mouth because they're eating the blood and stuff like that. There's a connection to Freemasons and Shriners, where a lot of these people, like Dave Thomas from Wendy's, was a Shriner. Colonel Sanders was a Shriner. All these people that you see from the fast food, there is a connection to Shriners, clowns, and if you look for it, you will find it. And something to think about, something to look into, and add to your arsenal of awakening and information. So the Shriners organization has this Royal Order of Jesters, and it all connects to like the Vril and clowns and reptilian type entities. So here is a symbol for this Royal Order of Jesters. And it's the Royal Order of Jesters, ROJ, and there's like an eyeball thing with a you can see this snake type thing coming out of the eyeball. That connects to the vril and the proboscis of these vril entities, which are various reptilian intelligent life forms. And you can see these vril, they have this, it's like a parasite within their head that transfers their consciousness into another person through the eye canal or the eye socket, if that kind of makes sense. Now, throughout my research and looking into mud fossils, I have found a fossilized vril head. That's what this is. If you're not aware of the mud fossils, it's a whole big thing. But what I want to show people is I found this fossilized lizard vril head, this creature head, okay? At the top of the head by the right eye, you can see where this blue arrow is. You can see where it's like a worm within its head or its skull. And it goes from black to white to black. If you can see that by the blue arrows, it's hard to see, but there is like another creature within this thing's head. Now that connects to like these sandworms from the Beetlejuice movie. Now I know it's kind of far off, but just let me get into this here. The Beetlejuice realm where these sandworms are is supposedly Saturn. So whenever they in the Beetlejuice movie they walk out of their house, they enter this desert world with these sandworms, and that is said to be Saturn in this movie. There is a large connection to Saturn and Satan, these lizard people, the hexagram and the six-pointed hexagram, six triangles, six-sided, six-pointed star, and these Jewish people who worship Satan and Saturn. It's a very big connection, but you can see kind of what I'm talking about with this type of research, if that makes sense. And it's like a worm that is within your your it wraps around your spinal cord and your brain stem and controls you like a parasite. And it all connects to the black goo substance, where Spores of the black goo will self-replicate into strands. The strands form a weaving or a husk, and then these husks turn into this cocoon, which turns into these blood clots they're finding. But if you add this 5G power source, it'll turn into this vril alien and control people like a parasite. This is what the zombie awakening is. You should watch my 5G Project Bluebeam video. It really gets into this. But this is a massive part of this research when you're looking into these demonic entities and stuff. Another connection to the human sacrifice and things like that is the cattle mutilations and abductions. If you haven't looked into the missing 411 type of missing people phenomenon, it's really another rabbit hole. I'll have to do a whole video on that. It is insane when you understand and look into this missing 411 stuff. But a large part of the government working with these demonic entities or these gray aliens or whatever you want to call it is the connection to abductions and mutilations. So
Most famous case of unexplained human mutilation is the 1988 Brazilian case, where a man was found laid out on soft ground with no signs of fighting or a struggle, no signs that other people had been present, and no evidence that the man had been chained or tied. These photographs were accompanied by an official autopsy report from the Legal Medicine Institute in Sao Paulo. The report reveals some shocking facts. Here are just a few. The ear cut off by a slanting incision, also removal of the internal ear, with indications of vital reaction, meaning the victim was alive when these incisions were made. Removal of left and right orbital areas, emptying of the mouth cavity, pharynx, oropharynx, neck, left and right armpit area, abdomen, pelvic cavity, and right and left groin areas. Left and right armpit areas show a circular discontinuity, a round hole 4 centimeters in diameter, showing vital reaction, meaning the man was alive when these holes were made. Absence of organs in the pelvis and abdominal cavity due to the removal of all viscera with signs of tearing and vital reaction. Again, meaning he was alive when the internal organs were somehow removed. The internal organs were presumably removed via the small holes. An extensive hematoma was observed throughout the whole length of the stretched, bruised penis, which was not excised, unlike the scrotum, which was excised. The penis showed an enlarged urethral channel, suggesting the prostate gland was extracted through the penis. Now, I could go on, but I'll just leave it there. Suffice to say, this was not done by an animal predator, and the evidence cannot easily be put down to murder by human beings. It points to something much more bizarre, and is identical to some of the unexplained characteristics that have been found on animals over several decades.
now, a lot of this cattle mutilations really got started after this Greada Treaty was enacted, and when the government started working with these demonic entities for personal gain. And there's a lot of connections made between what really was going on during World War II and what was going on after when they started to push this deception of the Roswell crash and all of the other deceptions that they're behind. It's the same type of things that have been going on throughout our history, and it's all large connections to satanic entities, demonic entities, these Jewish people of Operation Paperclip, these Nazis. Nazis are National Zionists. The SS or the Nazi SS were the synagogue of Satan, and the Aryans are Luciferians. So it's all hiding this in plain sight, but people are so afraid to get out of the history that was taught by these people after they already enacted this Operation Paperclip. And they never told you about the mud flood or Tartaria or the mud fossils or any of these other things. So that makes them all lying about everything. And then we can go see, what are you lying about? It's all this type of mutilation and all this blood and chemicals and adrenochrome and these entities and all this stuff connects when you understand who we're dealing with and what we're dealing with in this awakening. So this is a tweet from yesterday, which is today is the second. This is from the first. Trump says Kamala Harris has caused over 325,000 children to go missing due to her border policy. And where are these kids going missing to? And the world is at war with a hidden enemy, and we will win. I do believe we will win. Whether you think Trump is bad, Trump is good, it's the awakening of consciousness. When your vibration is at a higher state, these entities can't interact with you any longer. And that's how we free these people, by the golden rule and belief in Christ, having faith in God, faith in Christ, using his great name, praying for all our people to come out of this horrific nightmare that we've been living in, of debt and suppressed technology and all this kind of stuff that we are fighting against, is to get this technology released. Now, this Greada Treaty, where they're going to allow these cattle mutilations and children to go missing and all this type of stuff in exchange for technology, when our technology hasn't advanced at all in the last 150 years. We're still using steam powered. That's what nuclear power is uh, pushing these giant steam turbines. We're still on oil and gas. We're still using plastics. We're still using all this stuff where our technology hasn't advanced at all. The only technology that is allowed to advance is military technology and the ability to kill people and harvest resources around the world. Why is that? It's because of who is running these NATO governments, which is this Zionist occupation of these Nazis, National Zionists. When this Operation Paperclip takes place, these Zionists infiltrate every NATO country and run their government. Every NATO country has Zionist occupation. And people are so terrified of being called a racist that they will just let their entire country, their families, everything get sacrificed in order to not be called a name. And then they call you racist anyways. So people need to start waking up to where these missing children have been going. 800,000 children missing in the US alone. Close to 8 million people worldwide go missing every year, never seen again. Where are they going? What is going on here? So, next I'm going to get into the grays, or the demonic aliens. Most of the gray type entities are demonic. They all have a connection to the black goo substance. Even some say that their blood is highly black and it connects to this black goo substance. Some are said to be trying to reconnect to God or Source, working with the Alliance people, but everything these aliens do is a lie. It's all a lie. And that's why the gray type demonic entities are referred to as aliens, because they're always a lie in. They're always a lying and telling people lies in order to deceive them, in order to get the chemical bloods and stuff that they need in order to expand their lifespan more. Or it's like a drug to them or something. But there's something to this that is a major clue when doing this research. So many have who have encountered these creatures by abductions on vessels or ships have called out to the name of Jesus Christ for help and have been released. This is a big clue that they are not just creatures from another galaxy, they are a demonic type entity. And if you ever find yourself where you are witnessing these gray type entities, you must call on the name of Christ, because otherwise it's almost like it's like a predator looking at an animal or something that it thinks it's prey. You have to make yourself not
be appearing to be prey, and that's how they will go away from you and find someone else, if that makes sense. And these Nazis were all said to be working with these gray entities. They were communicating with these entities. They were conducting uh, human sacrifices and child sacrifices and gender operations and all this stuff to appease these gray type entities in which they got technical secrets, and they eventually conquered our entire realm through working with these demonic type entities. And the Germany was established in 1871. The United States was incorporated in 1871. There's always a Jewish aspect to this, and there always is a connection to the Old World, where these NATO countries are, former Old World kingdoms and stuff. And there are lots of connections that can be made when you have the right pieces of the puzzle in which you can interpret how they're trying to make a hybridization of humans and these demonic entities in order for these entities to have a vessel to inhabit because their time is running out faster and faster and faster. And we know of these aliens. They're slowly releasing the information about these grays, and they're interdimensional, they're extra dimensional, they're extraterrestrials, and all these things are different from the other. Extraterrestrials are not the same as interdimensional or extra dimensional, and that is how we can identify whether they're pro human, pro God, pro creation, pro creator, or are they the other end of the spectrum, which is this satanic energy or this black goo type substance. And there's lots of information when you want to see it and you want to look into this about how all these things connect. But they are well documented. We've seen them throughout our historical record. Lots of ancient tribes and cultures have documented these type of entities, and it's almost they're a demonic type thing, but it's almost like they're insect-like kind of. They're an insect type of parasite, which were these once more humanoid type creatures that looked like modern day humans? And then this parasite has got in them and completely rearranged their DNA to make them look like these ugly demonic insect creatures. Something to also think about when understanding how, if you look at how parasites affect insects, it completely changes their chemistry and their chemicals and alters their DNA, and that's something that we have to acknowledge. Now, here's an old manuscript, and you can see where this blue arrow is pointing to connects to this Stephen Greer little alien vril type creature. But if you look at this manuscript, that's the creature that you're seeing. And it's like a little cocoon of a fetus or something that was found in a tomb or something. But it's all connected when you understand you're either service to self, service to others. You're either a creation force utilizing the 124875 system of creation, or you're the opposite end, which is the 369 system, which we see in the 33rd degree Freemasons, the 666 of these demonic entities, and the Jews, and all this kind of stuff. They all use the 369 symbolism and numerology as opposed to the 124875 system. I made a video on this you can check out, the two vibrational codes of our realm. Next, here's this little, there's like a blue type alien creature, goblin type creature, and it's also well documented in these historical footage. And there's a picture of this blue demonic type creature within a cave. But there's lots of evidence of people seeing these types of entities, but there's not a lot of footage of them. And we see this more and more. There's going to be less people going out into wild areas, into the national forests, into caves, and it would be hard to photograph or document within a dark cave or something like that. But these things are being documented more and more and more, and that's why they're trying to control us more and more and more to keep us from understanding what we should be looking for, what we should be afraid of, and what kind of entities we should be fighting. And there's lots of these. It's like a hybridization program trying to recapture the essence of a human soul. That's what these lizard people are trying to do. And all these satanic, demonic people, they've sold their soul. They know it's a bad deal. And they're trying to get it back. And they're doing this through science and hybridization. But once you're on the level that I'm seeing it, it's impossible. They're never going to accomplish this, and it's just their species and this demonic energy is dying out. And that's why they're in the final days, which makes them the most dangerous. That's when we're the closest to World War III and nuclear war and whatever end time events it's going to be, the activation of the 5G towers, the Project Bluebeam, we're getting to the end of this charade where you're going to see the final deception in order for this satanic collective to get all of the sacrifice and the human energy that it can within the final days to try to rebirth this Lucifer, satanic energy out of this black goo, which it connects to the thousand points of light, which there are a thousand pieces of this black goo, and they're trying to accumulate all this into a soul collective in order to rebirth this satanic entity or energy in order for this final battle. But the days are running out, and it looks like they're really not going to get their new world order or anything. Something to understand when we do this. So then we get into the lizard people or the reptilians. Lots of footage. We've already kind of went over this in the first half of the video with these feathered bird serpents and all these ancient cultures. When you get to the top, they're all into satanic rituals, eyes wide shut kind of stuff, where they're worshiping these entities. They're doing satanic rituals, pentagrams, human sacrifices, pedophilia, and all that kind of stuff, and it all connects. Now, throughout the research of mud fossils and stuff, we have found that humans and these lizard people have walked right beside each other throughout our historical record. Now, where this kind of falls apart as people think that these are dinosaur tracks from millions and millions of years ago, but we know that dinosaurs are a complete deception and fraud. There were no dinosaurs, there's more likely just these entities, or there's giant birds or something, but the dinosaur bones that they find to push this deception of dinosaurs is completely fraudulent when you understand that the mud flooded buildings are way deeper than the dinosaur bones they're finding, if that makes sense. So, when you understand that they invented dinosaurs as a cover story to cover up the giant bones they were finding because they're finding giant human bones everywhere. And this is well documented within the Smithsonian and in old newspapers that they're constantly finding giant bones. And then they invented this deception of dinosaurs that lived millions of years ago. This also pushes the idea of evolution, which is a theoretical theory of evolution, and the Big Bang theory, where they're trying to take the creation of God and inverting it into a creation of science. And that's what these satanic people do. Science is the religion of Satanism. If the satanic people are the entities, science is their religion, and they push this science on everyone as it's 100% proven, but everything behind their science is theoretical. It's all theories, and that's how when you really come into this awakened consciousness, you can see this very right out in the open, hidden in plain sight. And I mean, it's more likely giant birds. If there were giant people, all of the creatures of the old world were much larger, and you can see that giant people would have needed to eat giant chickens and giant birds and giant mammals, and that's more likely what the bones of these dinosaurs were, is just the same way how like you have a pig that we would eat. A hippopotamus is like a giant pig. And all the creatures that we have, there's just a larger, bigger version of that, if that makes sense. So, like bears are like giant rats, if you kind of think about it. It's a bigger, it's a different species. Obviously, bears aren't rats, but you kind of get what I'm getting at with this idea. And there's always fossilized human prints next to these giant bird prints, and it just shows that they were in the same time period. And it's not millions and millions of years that these stones fossilized. It was a very quick event which fossilized all these giant creatures, and there's evidence of this everywhere if you look into the mud fossils. And it's just more evidence that we can put into our toolbox, I guess you could say, that they are lying to you. Everything within the general public or general education is complete fabrication to steal your life, to get you working, to get you a slave for these elites or these lizard people or these Vril or the demonic entities or the black goo or whatever it is. It's all a deception. So, other connections. So this is from the Denver airport, if you didn't know. But lots of funny stuff going on at the Denver airport. They got a real funny sense of humor at the Denver airport. So here are these billboards that people have found, and it says, the first one, thanks for being patient. The lizard people keep stealing our tools. Ha 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 ha. Very funny stuff at the Denver airport. Forgive the mess. Building secret underground tunnels can get quite untidy. Funny stuff. Boy, I don't know who's writing the billboards at the Denver airport, but it's very funny stuff. Apologies for the noise. It takes really big drills to get to the underworld. Fuck you and this bullshit where they hide this in plain sight because the people are too stupid to understand what is really under the Denver International Airport and how the Denver airport connects to the hidden lands outside of our realm. That's where they're flying into. They're flying into Denver and to the, Roswell 8, outside of Vegas, where that's where the people who work in the underground bunkers and the underground cities come out to fly home to their houses on the other side of the ice wall. But they just hide this right out in the open because they know people aren't going to take it serious. When you look into all this research and see how much evidence there is for these lizard people and these demonic entities and stuff, and it's just what is going on where people are spitefully not going to wake up to what is really going on here. Friendship is universal. Friendship is universal. You could tell that the Biden character is wearing a mask. And if you've seen the VTV show miniseries, there's lots of connections to kind of how the lizard people secretly want to be everyone's friends, but they're really murdering and eating people and consuming them. And if you haven't seen the VTV show, it's a great piece of hiding in plain sight evidence that we can use to understand what is going on. Also, the They Live movie. And They Live is outside of the limit of your sight. These alien creatures live, they're harvesting people, and they're consuming their bodies and harvesting the water and controlling people as a slave force. Now, there's a connection also to these transgender drag queens, which all happen to look like these demonic clown entities with the white skin, the red mouths, and all this stuff. It is part of the satanic agenda. The trans agenda is satanic. Satan is a trans entity. It's a transhuman, trans species, transgender. That is this satanic collective is taking whatever God has given you and inverting it and going in the opposite way. And that's why they're all homosexuals, they're all into pedophilia and changing their gender and putting microchips in their brains and stuff. They all think it's great, but it's very interesting the clown aspect to this demonic entities kind of research. Now, a couple more things. There's the Bigfoot, which there's lots of sightings of Bigfoots or Sasquatch, lots of evidence that supports the existence of Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Are these creatures benevolent? Benevolent, is that right? Or are they hostile? Is it a hoax? Is it a form of human or a Neanderthal type of creature that is from the old world that hasn't been hunted to extinction? We don't know. Could they be Tartarian giants wearing animal skins? That's also a possibility. There is another connection to Native Americans and the skinwalkers, where it's a type of black magic where they combine their DNA with this animal skin through witchcraft and it inhabits their body, turning them into like a werewolf type of creature. There's something to this because of so many documented sightings and cases, and it's a well known thing within the Native American community about these skinwalkers and about the Sasquatches. They're a tribe. They have a humanoid type of face with a hairy body, but it also could be some type of clothing they're wearing. We don't know, but there is many well documented cases, and there's also an interdimensional type of aspect to this where you cannot see them unless they want you to see them. They can just vanish within another reality or into the higher fourth dimension, and you will not see them unless they want you to see them. It's something psychic. They can program your mind to not see them, I guess, through hypnosis or something, but there is a connection to these giant, hairy, bipedal creatures. Whether they're friendly or evil, are they the Nephilim? Are they descendants of Nephilim? We don't know, but there are lots of documentation of part of the giant bones that they find and how they have a very humanoid type face with this animal type body. Was this some type of old world genetic experimentation that went wrong and these things escaped and found a way to reproduce? We don't know, but there's another aspect to these Bigfoot which is very interesting when understanding this type of research of these creatures. So another interesting thing to look at. Other types of entities, it's been documented that there are these water entities, I guess you could say, or liquid. There is They've been documented throughout the national forests of these liquid type entities or these clear, shimmery beings, kind of like the predator or something. Is it a type of camouflage? Also very interesting, but there's another connection to that. I've also seen and heard lots of cases of these little Ewok type characters. And if you've seen my old world and the fall of the old world video, there is lots of connections to the old world and Star Wars, whether it's the technology, the buildings, the wardrobe, and the creatures. But there are these little small bear type entities that are really strong that are hiding throughout the national forests. And much of these national forests, no one's going there. No one's gonna go there. It is just vast wilderness that is unexplored, and there's no way to really get in there because it's so dense. But tribes of these things could exist there. There could be cities or towns under the ground that could exist out in these national forests. It's an interesting part, and in the Star Wars movies, these Ewoks were also cannibals. So that might be some type of people go missing and they are eaten or harvested, another interesting thing. Now, this is a picture of a supposed Nordic being. Do these Nordic type ETs come from hidden lands over the ice wall, or do they come from some underrealm below the surface? It doesn't, we don't really know, but it's a very big connection to really white skin, white hair, tall. There's a psychic connection to these things, but Nordic type beings are also witnessed a lot when doing the research into this. The major types are the grays, the reptilians, the Nordics, and the mantis type insect creatures. So then there is these thunderbirds. I'm going to wrap this up, but from the old world, there was lots of evidence of these um, flying dinosaur-looking birds, these thunderbirds, and they were said to have they could pick up like a full-grown deer and carry it off. That could be where some of these missing people are going, but there's lots of evidence of these thunderbirds in the historical record. They were hunted to extinction because they kept carrying off children and stuff like that. So very interesting that these dinosaurs are supposed to be millions of years old, but they keep finding them. Whether it's like the Loch Ness Monster, where there's a giant aquatic dinosaur type creature in the lake, which can go under the lake. There's probably access to another big under ocean or under realm, and every once in a while they get trapped, and there are sightings of these things, but lots of evidence of these thunderbirds and how they have a large connection to the giants of the old world. Do these giants come from hidden lands on the other side of the ice wall? We don't know, but back in the 1850s, they were documented a lot, and they were called birds. Birds. It's a tongue twister. But a lot of people witnessed these giant pterodactyl type of birds and hunted them and killed them, and they're got like kind of a huge. I mean, it could be all types of genetic experimentations and stuff that were going on, and they've been hunted to extinction. But there might be some left, and that could be a part of this deception. So lots of documented cases of this, and very interesting. If we missed any kind of entities or something, if you want me to cover something else, let me know in the comments below. I'm going to wrap this up. You can find me at Mud Fossil Research and Truth, Mud Fossil Truth and Research on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter in the box below for the time being until my accounts are deleted again. I'm on like my seventh and eighth Twitter account, so every time we get closer to these elections and these big things, the censorship starts up and they'll find any reason to flag you. So you can find me at mudfossil_guy, mudfossil_truth. You can find me on BitChute and Rumble and YouTube at Rumble and BitChute at Modern American Gangster, and on YouTube at Mudfossil Research and Truth, Mudfossil_research_and truth. So you can find me there. You can find me on Gab and Truth Social at Modern American Gangster. You can get my book, The Great Awakening. A lot of this information is in the book. There's going to be a link in the description. Great Awakening Unit 1, Timeline of Historical Events. Great Awakening Unit 2, Continued Points of Study. There is a digital download or an ebook, or you can get the Unit 1, Unit 2, Great Awakening paperback, which is great. Lots of information. It's a great coffee table book. It's a great manual to open up and find information that will help your mind stay free and help you connect a lot of dots that others have not connected or are somehow afraid to connect. You can find my Modern American Gangster music on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. I'm on YouTube at Modern American Gangster. You can find me on m1n.com. I'm probably going to phase out this site in the future. I don't know, or we'll see. You can, if you can donate, if you'd like to donate, if you'd like to help support my research, if you want a special shout out, if you want something like that, you can find me on PayPal at mudfossil124875. Donate as a friend or a family. Donations are much appreciated. It takes a lot of time to edit these videos, find the clips, edit them together, record the audio, put it together with the videos, trim it down, upload it to the multiple platforms. Takes a lot of work. So if you can, please donate. It is appreciated. Please like, follow, subscribe. Share this content. Leave any questions or comments. Leave me a thumbs up. Lets me know that you guys are watching this, checking it out. And that's the end. I hope everybody has a great week and enjoyed this video.